He spent 15 years as a professional baseball player, most at the AAA level, but did play parts of 7 major league seasons, batting .262 with 3 home runs and 26 runs batted in. He started his coaching career after retiring in 2012 as a hitting coach and catching coach at Lipscomb University in Nashville. And this season, the former major league catcher is now the hitting coach for the New Orleans Zephyrs, the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. He played 1 year at the University of Alabama in 1998 under Jim Wells. After that one season as a catcher, was drafted in the 9th round by the Kansas City Royals and started his 15-year professional career. We welcome in Paul Phillips on the Bud Light Hotline. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Doing great. Good to have you. And I'll let folks know, in the interest of full disclosure, I've known you since you were, I don't know, junior high maybe, something like that?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, 8th or 9th grade. When I was working over in Meridian, Mississippi, Paul was a standout baseball player at West Lauderdale High School and went on to play at Meridian Community College for 2 years and then at the University of Alabama. Born in Demopolis, first cousins with former Alabama and Major League player Andy Phillips, recently the hitting coach for the University of Alabama. And, Paul, before we get to Alabama, we get to your career, let's talk about right now. You're the hitting coach for the New Orleans Zephyrs in AAA. This is your first season. What's that experience been like?
Man, it's been great. I tell you, it's I get to work with guys who are one step away from being in the major leagues, and the hunger and the attitude these guys have, it's great to work with. I mean, they're always picking your brain, trying to figure out what's that next step, what's that next little piece of the puzzle, and it's such a good thing to have that hunger in the guys to really want to push themselves to be the best they can possibly be. And some have it, and some are still waiting to figure it out. And it's you see all the tools, and you just try to figure out, well, why is this guy not in the big leagues yet? And but that's the fun, challenging part, is trying to figure out, is it between their ears? Is it their tools? Is it what is it? Is it their lifestyles or what? But it's been a fun challenge, I can tell you that.
You spent 4 years as a coach at Lipscomb there in Nashville after playing 15 professional seasons. And so you know something about hitting, you know about playing in the big leagues, but to already be hired as a hitting instructor at the AAA level, a lot of guys, even guys that had long major league careers, they start out their coaching career in rookie ball or as a traveling instructor or single A or double A. How did this opportunity present itself for you to go straight from 4 years as a college assistant to being a hitting instructor at the AAA level?
Well, it's kind of ironic because I was actually out recruiting when I got a phone call, and the Marlins were bringing in some new people, and I played with a guy named Joe Dillon back in the early portions of my career, and we learned hitting both from the same guy, Kevin Long, who is now with the New York Mets,
right,
with the Yankees, and so I mean, we learned from him, and he was hired as the hitting coordinator to oversee all of the minor league system and their hitting, and so he called me, and I'd had a conversation with him previous, like 3 years back, about when I got out of playing, and he was actually working for D-Bat, a wood-back company that has some travel ball stuff for high school kids, and he was actually working one of his events, recruiting one of his events, and we were just talking about the whole dynamics of getting back into pro ball versus college, or getting out of pro ball and getting into college, and we were just having that conversation, and then 3 years later, he was hired to be the coordinator with the Marlins, and so he called me and says, "Hey, you want to get back in?" And I said, "Well, you already know where my feelings are with this. I'm not going to get on a bus in A-ball and go around the country like that again." I said, "I'm not doing that all over." And he said, "No, I got a AAA spot for you." And
wow.
I said, "That's absolutely." So,
wow. Man, that's awesome, Paul. I mean, that is awesome. And I know as a player, the goal is to get to the big leagues, but I guess not that you wouldn't go back to college or, an opportunity, but if you're a coach in professional baseball, I guess the goal is just like the players, is to get back to the big leagues, right?
Yeah, absolutely. it's a little different dynamic with some versus others, Gary. I mean, like, honestly, my passion is just to help kids learn how to play baseball better. I mean, at the end of the day, I love the game of baseball, and baseball has done a lot of good things for me. It's provided a great living for me and my family. And, you know, when you do it the right way, that's when things start to really happen for you. And so for me, that's what I want to try to pass along, even to the guys I'm with now. It's like, you just do the right things all the time, not when it's comfortable, not when it's easy. Just do the right things all the time. The game will reward you, you know, and so that's just like I could teach 12-year-olds and have just as much fun as I am these guys here, or even at the next level, you know, because I'm living out my passion of just being able to help people and players just be better at playing the game of baseball. You know, but obviously the ultimate goal is to get back into the major leagues and get your 10 years in your pension and you know, basically allow the game to take care of you even more, you know. And so it's just working with the highest player is the ultimate goal, because, you know, it's just as us and as human beings, we want to reach our highest potential daily, especially as competitors. And you know, that to me is what that statement's saying. By getting back to the major leagues, is you're basically reaching the pinnacle of both sides of the game.
I want to get to Alabama in a minute. As I said, your alma mater, you recently completed your degree online to get that diploma from the University of Alabama where you played, but more with your career. As I said, coming out of junior college, you could have gone to a lot of different places. You wanted to play at Alabama, play with Andy, your first cousin. You guys are like brothers. And you had that one great season in 1998. You get drafted in the 9th round by the Royals. You take the money, play professional baseball. You get called up in 2004 for the first time, and you played, as I said, parts of 7 seasons in the big leagues with the Royals, the White Sox, and the Rockies. You never really got that opportunity to be an everyday catcher, although your batting average, we look at 262 for a career batting average, Paul, and let's be honest, that's higher than most. And I would follow you, and it seemed like when you caught, pitchers loved working with you. You hit decently. And, of course, I know everybody that gets to the bigs is thrilled. At the same time, do you ever look back on your career and wonder why you didn't get more of a chance to be an everyday catcher? Does that still stick with you? What happened?
No, well, I tell you, Gary, like, as you're going through the whole just the life of the journey of baseball, like, I was hurt 3 years. 2001, I had elbow surgery.
Right.
2002, I had elbow surgery. 2003, I had elbow surgery.
Slowed your development.
You know, I was just fortunate that I had a guy that was in my corner to continue to keep the Royals on my side, actually, after having all those injuries. And, you know, in 2003, I finished the season playing only 13 games after my last surgery. And then 2004, they were debating on releasing me, and because they're just like, do we really want to keep this going on? Is it going to happen again? We don't know. And, you know, so they kept me, and sure enough, you know, 2004, I make it all the way through spring training, which was a dilemma for the past 3 years, and I made it through and go to play AAA, hit over 300 in AAA my first year back after 3 seasons, and then get called up to the big leagues to start my major league journey. And, you know, as I'm going through that, you know, I kind of got skipped a little bit, because even in 2004, my first year in the big leagues, 2004, they make a trade by with this guy named Carlos Beltran. And so, I mean,
Heard
we
of
don't
him.
know how. Yep. And so, with that being said, in comes a catcher named John Buck to the Kansas City Royals
Right.
as a young player. So, with that being said, their philosophy was, you know, I was still a young guy at the time as well. I think John was a little bit younger than I was, but with John coming in, they needed someone as a backup catcher to help mentor, in their opinion, the young catcher. And so, you know, that's where they bring in Jason LaRue, they bring in Paul Bacco, they bring in a few other, like an Alberto Castillo, they bring in some other guys that have, you know, some age and some experience, and to help John, you know, basically, I guess, mold his catching ability, his game calling, his all of the structure of that system. And so, you know, as I look at it, I didn't obviously like it, but at the end of the day, I understood, and they were very honest with me and explained to me. I had Buddy Bell as my manager when I was with Kansas City, and he was such a professional with telling me, hey, look, you should have probably made this team, but you're not going to make it because you got options. They don't. They're giving him $900,000. He's the starter. So here's the dynamic of it. You don't have to like it, but we all been there, and so just go keep doing what you're doing. And that was the first time, I had someone just basically spit the truth to me.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you say to that? That's just the facts, and that's the honesty of it. And it's like, all right, well, thanks for telling me the truth. You know where I'll be, and so if anything happens, I'll be ready, and so that was one of the things to where that kind of helped. And after I went through those surgeries, I started getting kind of that backup label, and so that's kind of it's a different dynamic when you're playing every day and playing over 100 games in a season to go into playing 40, 50, 60 games a season. You got to learn a whole other way to get ready and how to stay sharp. And you also change to see what is most important is your defensive role with that pitching staff, and hitting while you're having to do that. It's not an easy task either. Hitting obviously isn't easy anyway, but hitting successfully 2 days a week, that's tough. That's why those big league bench players that come off the bench as pinch hitters, they hit 250. Those guys are amazing,
right?
And so it's just so tough. But at the end of the day, I was completely aware of why my career was going the way it was and what happened, because I had some wonderful people, guiding me and teaching me and telling me and being honest with me and letting me know, hey, this is what you got to do to stay here. If you don't do this, then you're probably not going to stay here. Or if you do this, you're going to be here for a while, and just hearing those things and doing those things, it shows a lot. For me, it shows a lot of trust in them with me, and that's a huge thing when it comes to that manager / head coach / player relationship. Just that open honesty of, hey, here's where we are. This is what we got to do. Let's go do it together, And so, but that was kind of where it was for me. As I look back on it, I understood, and like I said, I didn't have to like it, but I understood exactly where it was, and I just continued to work and just, they were still giving me an opportunity, and I wanted to make sure that I was making the most of it.
Well, you did. Like I said, 15 years in pro ball, parts of 7 seasons in the big leagues with the Royals, White Sox, and Rockies. You don't have anything to apologize for. And what are the odds that 2 first cousins born in Demopolis, Alabama, you and Andy Phillips would both play in the big leagues? That's got to be, pretty long odds of that happening, but you both got it done there. Speaking of Andy and Alabama, while I got you, Paul, you, as I said, you played 1 year here for Wells. Gaspard was on the staff, played with Andy. Know Dax Norris really well. You've continued to kind of keep up with the program, particularly when you were coaching at Lipscomb. Alabama, after 7 seasons, Mitch decided that, he wasn't happy with the way things were going. It was a lot of talk that the fans weren't happy. They did not make a single College World Series. In fact, haven't since 1999. What do you think? And I know you're the outside looking in, but when you came here, kids were dying to play at Alabama. It was one of the hot programs in the country. And now it's a team that struggles to just get into a regional, much less make a run to Omaha. What's changed, do you think, from the time you played in the late 90s into the early 2000s to where Alabama baseball is at right now?
Well, I think, Gary, there's a couple things. And, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for anything, but it's just like the same reason that we need to understand the difference between excuses and reasons, and I tell our players all the time, I'm like, when our pitcher walks the first 2 batters and then the defense doesn't turn the double play, well, that's not an excuse on, well, they weren't ready. That's the reason. It's because the pitcher has walked 2 guys and lulled them to sleep and they're not ready. Now, that's something that those players need to work on and get better at, but at the end of the day, that's the reason why we boot the balls, because we're not prepared and ready enough to have that situation come about and still overcome it. That's not an excuse. And so as I sit here and look look at it, and we actually had a 3-game series, not this past season, but last season against Alabama, and I mean they have some talent, man. They still have good players, and it's just I just didn't see like the connection with, hey, we're behind Gaspard all the way. Like I just didn't see the players, for whatever reason that was. I don't know. I can't sit here and say that. But there was a disconnect. You could almost see like a little disgruntle or a little this or that amongst the team, and it was like a separation and like, why are we doing that or why are we doing this? And there was never really a sellout, and that's something that I think is an enormous thing to have. And you can't tell me that players aren't sold out to Nick Saban whether they like him or not. They're going to do what he asks them to do, and you're probably not going to hear any disgruntlement over it, at least to where it gets back to him, And so I don't know really what was going on, but I can tell you one thing. I mean, they still have good players, and they still, the staff. I know that they worked hard, and when I was out recruiting for Lipscomb, I always saw Andy out. And I know that they were trying to find players and do their thing, and it's tough too, with the way that the NCAA has the whole scholarship set up. And I mean, it's not an easy task to do, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like when you're at the poker table and they give you your cards, you can't ask for new ones.
That's right.
You got to play what they give you, and so it's it ain't an easy task.
Speaking of that, Paul, because we're getting up against the clock a little bit. You're referring to the 11.7, and I've had a lot of people call me at the television station and here at the radio station saying you're making excuses. And as you said, there are reasons and excuses. This isn't an excuse. This is real. Alabama's got 11.7. There's no Hope Scholarship to bring kids in from in-state that don't count against your 11.7. Vanderbilt's a private school, so my gosh, they're probably 20-something guys basically on scholarship, the same at LSU, Florida, and Alabama doesn't even have a break on getting out-of-state tuition lowered or anything else. For Alabama and Auburn, that's a real issue, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. I mean, absolutely. It's you basically have to manage your dollar. I mean, you're trying to get – you have 27 roster spots. You have 35 total roster spots, 27 that can be on scholarship. And you've got 11.7 to fit those bills. I mean, you're looking to try to, if you want to compete, obviously your pitching is where you're going to spend your money. So, I mean, if you go out and try to get 3 dominant pitchers, now you're down like 3. You're trying to get those kids with as much as you can to try to lure them away from those other schools that can give them 50% with other endowments on the side or Hope scholarships or this or that, or out-of-state waivers, or even academic money. So I mean, there's other ways to. When I was at Lipscomb, we just tried to get kids to full tuition because we're like, we only have 11.7. Let's try to get them to full tuition because we feel like they got to eat and they got to sleep somewhere. So mom and daddy got to pay for that one way or the other. Let's just try to get them to full tuition so that we can try to be a competitive ball club. And going from a losing season, my first season, to tying a school record, my second season, to setting a new school record, my third season there, and then coming to pro ball after that, it's tough to put together that equation of you need to have good grades, you need to have good scores on your standardized test, you need to have some sort of financial endowment at home because we don't have the funding to be able to purchase that huge scholarship for those kids, and we're still trying at that mid-major Division I school compete against the Alabamas, compete against the Vanderbilt right down the street. And
it's
so
tough.
It's just, I mean, it's a real deal.
Paul,
it's not a
Yeah, we're getting up right against the break, but just real quickly, 30 seconds. Alabama's looking for a new coach, hasn't been to Omaha since 1999. We've talked about the scholarship restrictions. In 30 seconds, can Alabama be a premier program again, or have those days, are they long gone?
No, those days are not long gone. Alabama can do it again. There's no reason in my mind why the University of Alabama can't be a powerhouse. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the University of Alabama, and whoever is going to be that head coach just has to have the sellout of the squad. I mean, there's teams that have less talent for sure, doing more than what Alabama has produced. But at the end of the day, there's no reason why Alabama can't be that powerhouse again.
Thank you so much, Paul. Appreciate the time, man. Continued success and good luck with the New Orleans Zephyrs. We'll talk again down the road.
Thanks, Gary.